Whenever you go to look for a car, or maybe it's a new pair of shoes, or even just get something to eat, not everything available to you is going to be what you desire or what you need. And that's what I want to talk about in journaling today. I want to talk about how to make a journal into something that's going to fit your life and needs. What I'm going to show you are some examples of things that you can do that maybe didn't work for me, as well as the way that I currently do things and why it works. Because the ultimate goal is to teach you how to do this in a way that it's going to be effective, and you're going to want to journal more often. Okay, so we're going to be taking a look at my bullet journal. You don't have to do bullet journaling, and in fact, some of the ways that I do my bullet journaling in here, you could do this in a regular journal. I just want to show you some ways that are effective for me in journaling, but then some ways that didn't really work either. So I quickly learned that I am not very great at tracking habits. So at the beginning of the year, I started tracking wellness habits. So stretching, reading, and journaling. And essentially, I do these pretty much every day. I'm just really bad about going back here and checking things off. You can see that I made it through about half of February and finished nothing else. So there's that. This is also evident on my book tracking page. My goal for the year was to read 15 books, or at the very minimum, at least 12. I'm probably somewhere in the ballpark of 8 to 10 books right now. I'll have to do the math, but I have not been writing them down. One of the things I wanted to do was write when I started reading the book, as well as when I finished it, and maybe put some notes about it. But obviously, I did not do that. Now, this is another type of bullet journaling that just doesn't work for me. I would love to be able to plan out my life and my days and my weeks, months, whatever, on paper like this. But so far, it just hasn't worked. I do like this method. So this is the month ahead, and just kind of putting like the main highlights that are happening that month, just so I can think about it and kind of see the bird's eye view planning of my life. But now if we want to look at a system that has worked well for me, this is the highlight journaling that I do. So essentially, what did I do today? Instead of just writing down things like I started here, like work, karate, normal routines, I started to get a little bit more specific and write down one positive highlight from every single day. So like here, I can look back to January the 14th and see that karate, I started step 1 of learning what it was going to take to get my yellow belt. Well, what's cool is I can bump months ahead and get to March or April, whenever it was, and see that eventually I got that yellow belt. And then this here is kind of like the month overview, but it's by the day. So you're writing down different tasks, events, and things you want to remind yourself of for each of the days. And then at the end of the week, you could write out a little summary, or you could save the summary page for the end of the month. But you can see this is something that I was not very effective at. One thing I do love doing in my journaling, though, is at the end of each year is doing a reflection. So I do kind of a little bit of the main things that happened each of those months. And then I go in and break down things that I was grateful for, things that went unfulfilled, relationships and connections. And all this comes from Ali Abdaal. I got kind of this webinar through pre-ordering his book, Feel Good Productivity, a couple years ago. And because of that, we got to sit through this whole session with him. So all the stuff here comes from that session, but I still do it to this day because I think it's great to be able to reflect on the previous year so you can plan for the new year. And then what's cool, you can look at all the things you wrote down of how you wanted to grow and become better at stuff, and then see what you've achieved. So for example, with some of my goals, I didn't hit all these goals, but some of these are either half true or full truth. So work for myself by my birthday, I didn't hit that quite by my birthday, although I was doing contractor gigs that got me into a better position so that I am more so working for myself now. Save $5,000, I did that. Visit Scotland. I didn't get to do that, but part of the reason I wanted to save the money was to make that happen. So now this is something that can actually happen in 2026. This is why it's important to write things down and come back and look at them later. And then you can see here, there's some of my February reports and my February summary. There's the one for March. And then we come over, I tried tracking again. This time this worked because this was symptom tracking, and I was partially doing this in correspondence with my doctor. And I've also turned my bullet journal into a way to create different notes. So this was from watching a YouTube video. These daily entries that I was trying once again still weren't working. So I just filled those in with a bunch of notes that I got from a video, things that I wanted to remember. Of course, I highlighted in yellow for easy reference. Also took an Enneagram test, and I put my main results in here with some various notes so I can start studying that and keeping all that in one place. And then I found out about this type of daily planning. So I could write the day, the theme for the day, what kind of mood I was feeling that morning, do a little bit of morning reflection, set out my main priorities for the day, what my schedule looked like, an evening preview, task list, and then here we are trying to track various wellness things again. And this actually worked pretty well until I went on a work retreat and didn't really get to fill this in. So I think this is something that I might revisit, and you might like something like this as well. This one is more effective for me because it takes literally about 5 minutes to fill out one of these pages every morning. And then I can just look back at it periodically throughout the day and just check off various things. And then the last thing I'll talk about, I am working on some life planning updates here. So I'm trying to look forward to 10 years, which is a little difficult right now to see that far out just because so many things are currently changing and have changed that I'm trying to focus more on the closer ranges of 1 year and the next 5 years. So one thing I can tell you about goal setting is be as descriptive as possible, because if you write your goals down, you're going to achieve them, but you may not achieve them in the exact way that you wanted to, so you always want to be more descriptive. So this is kind of like my rough draft, getting my ideas together. And then on this page, I'm probably going to get a little bit more in depth about everything. And then I'm going to take 2 pages after that to write kind of a roadmap of how I'm going to make these things happen. So I'm going to need like daily, weekly, monthly tasks that are going to lead me up to this 1 year. This 1 year is going to lead me into the 5, and then once I figure out what the 10 is, the 5 will help lead me to that. The easiest way, I think, to do something like this is to start at the top, the high level, and work your way back into those minute tasks that are going to get you to where you want to go. But this isn't a goal setting video. This is just showing you some different ways that you can set up journals. And you can just simply write in your journal as well. It doesn't have to be, in this case, this bullet journal setup. In my normal journal, I actually just sit down and write regular entries like you would expect to do. You can do that in here too. You can put pictures in here. My wife has a junk journal that she puts together each month, and it's really cool. She themes each month and sticks things in there that she collected, whether that's eating at a new fast food place or a movie ticket or what have you. And then she can visually just flip through and remember all the awesome things that she did for a particular month. Journaling is supposed to be one of those things that makes you feel better after you've done it. It's not supposed to make you feel bad or stressed out when you get to it. And that's why a lot of these things you see that I've given up on, it's because they weren't serving me the way that I wanted them to, and I just cut them out. If they were bringing me stress and they weren't helping me overall, I wasn't going to keep doing those things. And that's what you need to do too when you're setting up your journal and your journaling processes. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Just make it into something that's going to work for you. There might be a little bit of trial and error, but at the end of the day, it's going to be worth it.